So I just heard that Stranger Things Season 3 will not be coming out until spring 2019, aka everyone's worst fear. And while this doesn't come as a complete shock, it's still annoying to have to wait more than a year for unanswered questions to be solved. But today, I'm going all the way back to Season 1 of the hit Netflix show to theorize and find out more about one of the main villains, Martin Brenner. Whether he's completely evil or not, it is clear that there's more to him than being the Hawkins lab director. Why is he so sadistic with the test subjects? Why does he act like the interdimensional aspects are almost normal? And most mind-twistingly, why does the Demogorgon go after him in the last episode of the season? Watch to find out. Ready for a theory? Hey everyone, it's CTO of the Theory channel, and if you haven't watched my first Stranger Things theory, I recommend doing that by clicking the card in the top right corner of the screen. I cover what I think the Upside Down actually is, and how it might not be infiltrating our world. Today's video isn't a continuation on that, but it would be helpful to watch before exploring this theory, so yeah, who is Martin Brenner? The Season 1 character was very intriguing throughout the episodes, and appears to have an unexplained backstory. Here's what we already know about him and his intentions. Brenner was the director of Hawkins National Laboratory and one of the leaders of the undercover project MKUltra. This was a CIA-developed scheme that was meant to develop mind control techniques in several test subjects. Its intent was to eventually be able to spy on the Russian government using these telepathic methods, since Stranger Things takes place during the Cold War. One of the test subjects, Terry Ives, was pregnant during the time she was given treatment, and when the baby was born, Brenner and his staff immediately abducted it, pretending that it never existed, as there wasn't even a birth certificate. The baby, Jane Ives, grew to be a true lapdog of Brenner's, who labeled her as 11. After experimenting with her for quite some time, 11 accidentally opened an interdimensional gateway, causing chaos in Hawkins with a creature called the Demogorgon on the loose. When 11 escapes the lab, Brenner attempts to find and catch up to her throughout Season 1, until in the last episode when he's supposedly killed by the Demogorgon at Hawkins Middle School. Brenner doesn't appear at all in Season 2, unless you count this hallucination made by 8, which further deepens the mystery of where he is, if he's even still alive. Well, to immediately come out and say it, the fact that a former Department of Energy agent claimed that Brenner's still alive, doubled with the fact that he appears to know a lot about the Upside Down, tripled with the fact that he's simply a really important character, makes me think that Dr. Martin Brenner was not killed by the Demogorgon. But what if he actually did appear throughout the Season 2 episodes? We just didn't know it. What if Martin Brenner is the Mind Flayer? This point hasn't been addressed by many people, only one or two, but it's really cool and interesting, because the Mind Flayer is definitely the main villain of Season 2, and Dr. Brenner could very well be the main villain of Season 1. Going back to what we know about the Mind Flayer, it clearly has some level of intelligence, and acts like a sort of hub beast in the way that it's able to control its brethren and surroundings. This makes it even more likely that the Mind Flayer is either controlled by a human, or is a human itself, just in a different form. When 11 goes back in for interdimensional telepathy, notice how Brenner is the one to encourage her to make contact with the creature. Could he actually have planned the consequences of this? Did Brenner want a gate to be opened? And I mean, what's the Mind Flayer's supposed goal? To infiltrate and spread throughout our dimension. But going back to the last scene of Brenner in Season 1, we see the Demogorgon come out of the wall and fixate on him right away. Judging by Brenner's expression, it seems like he has past experience with this creature. Then, they both fall to the ground, and while the Demogorgon reappears in the science room a bit later, Brenner doesn't ever appear again. The most logical possibility is that the Demogorgon just killed him, but that doesn't explain why the creature zeroed in on him. So instead of killing him, maybe the Demogorgon was collecting him for the Upside Down. This would entirely make sense, as where do people imagine is dead go about 100% of the time in Stranger Things? The Upside Down, of course. It would also explain why we don't see the Mind Flayer in the first season. Brenner was still in the real world, in his human form. But in the second season, we see him only in the Upside Down as the Hub Beast, and still the main villain. But wait a minute, how the heck is this Hawkins Energy director an ungodly beast from another dimension? Well, we know that Brenner likes experimenting on test subjects, primarily kids. In both forms, Brenner wants to keep 11 in his clutches. Whether doing it for protection or malice, we don't really know. And somehow, Brenner's been able to convince his whole lab team that finding 11, kidnapping 11, torturing 11 is the most important thing and is for the greater good. Why would any sane person think this? Project MKUltra wasn't supposed to be about interdimensional travel, torture, and monsters. It was just an experiment to see if the Americans could spy on the Russians during the Cold War. Yes, some harsh techniques had to be used, but to this extent, Brenner and his team act like the world depends on what they're doing, even if it's gruesome and cruel. So why would the whole team agree to this? Well, I'm going to make what I think is one of the best comparisons that I've made on this channel. Dr. Brenner and his lab team are perfectly parallel to the Mind Flayer and its demi-creatures. Think about it, Brenner clearly wanted to open up a portal to the Upside Down, as shown when he asked 11 to make contact with the interdimensional creature. Meanwhile, the Mind Flayer wants to start attacking our world, bringing his virus with him. It's like Brenner and the Mind Flayer have the same goal, to bring the Upside Down into closer connection with our world, thereby letting our world eventually literally become the Upside Down. And does this mean that Brenner's whole team is under a type of mind control, like the virus was emitted from the Mind Flayer into Will? Maybe. I mean, is this even Martin Brenner? We don't really know. The point is that the whole lab team was corrupt with upside-downness, if, that's a thing. The lab workers and the demi-creatures act in the exact same way, following their leaders and strengthening the connection between the different dimensions. This also explains why the agent in Season 2, Episode 7, claims to know that Brenner is still alive. If he's under the viral spell from the Mind Flayer / Brenner, then of course he would know if his master is dead or not. And so why did Brenner cruelly experiment with test subjects so regularly? To achieve his ultimate goal, to open up a portal between our world and the Upside Down. And he eventually does complete this goal with his 11th test subject, who makes contact with an interdimensional creature, thereby creating a gate to the Upside Down. But if the gate was already opened, then why was Brenner so fixated on getting 11 back after she escaped the lab? It's because even he doesn't know how much interdimensional power she holds, so of course Brenner would want to continue experimenting and see if she can create more gates and make more contact. So yeah, that's why I think that Dr. Martin Brenner could be the Mind Flayer in a human form. I just think that the parallels between Brenner and his lab team and the Mind Flayer and its Demogorgons are really cool, and plus, they're in parallel dimensions. This theory would also answer the questions of why the Demogorgon specifically goes after Brenner in Season 1, Episode 8. It wasn't killing him, just taking him back to the Upside Down, kind of like what happened to 11. It would answer why Brenner seems to have a ton of prior knowledge on interdimensional portals and the Demi-creatures, and it would answer why he's so sadistic with the kids, torturing and doing whatever he can do to supposedly complete Project MKUltra, but in reality, he just wants the Upside Down to infiltrate our world. Let me know what you guys think of this theory down in the comment section, and if you have any other Stranger Things questions you'd like me to try and answer. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, and subscribe so you don't miss any future theories, like other ones on Stranger Things. And although we can expect a Stranger Things List 2018, I plan to keep theorizing on the events of Seasons 1 and 2, as well as predicting the events of Season 3, based off of any trailers they put out. So I'll see you guys in the Upside Down.